Oh, would you look at that? It's more trauma. Last night I watched the new Final Destination movie, and man, was it, a Final Destination movie. You really know what you're going to get into if you decide to go watch this film. It's been a while since I've seen any Final Destination movie. I remember when I was young, I was like watching these randomly when it came on HBO or Cinemax or whatever they used to call it. And I remember all these deaths in these movies being very wacky and being like, oh wow, I that would never happen. And that's kind of the point. The Final Destination series is the type of movie where you really just can't take it serious, because all of these deaths are supposed to be kind of impossible and wacky. In fact, in pretty much every movie, there's always someone, or at least there's always usually a character who catches on to this and tries to cheat death, because they know, oh, anything could happen where something could slip and fall and knock over this thing and get you killed. So yeah, when watching the newest Final Destination movie, I kind of knew what to expect when going into it. My whole thing was, can they surprise me, or can it at least be entertaining with the way the deaths were committed? And I have to say, I think they did a pretty fine job. I don't think they did anything as special and rememberable as the last ones, but we'll get right into that. And yeah, I didn't really watch any Final Destination movies before this one, so I don't really know like the whole universe, but as far as I know, this film takes place in the same universe as all the other Final Destination movies. Yeah, the story takes place sometime around the 50s to 40s, I want to say, where this woman is going on a date, and his date got this tickets to this very expensive new building that just got built, and the building was actually finished a few months early, so they decided to just release it now. Fuck it, why not? There's definitely never going to be any consequences with this. And as the couple is in the building, they go onto the top of the building, and throughout it, even getting to the top, there was a lot of like, ooh, speculations of like, oh, what's gonna happen? Something's shaking here, something's wobbly there, ooh. But then once the couple got to the top, the girl had a like vision, and she saw everyone fucking dying gruesome ways, and eventually the building collapsed and everyone there dies. It's very interesting to see what happens. I will say it's definitely one of the more gruesome deaths. Normally in these opening acts, there's always just a lot of people just falling from far distances and, getting bonked on the head and whatnot. But nah, people were getting their fucking bodies crushed. It was a fucking gore fest, like, holy shit. Then the girl realizes, oh, this is a vision, this is all gonna happen, so she tries to stop everything. The dance floor that everyone was dancing on was made of glass, which is a very brilliant idea. And so she warns everyone, and she stops it, and everyone survives. And Death doesn't really like that, and I'm going to refer to the antagonist as Death. That's kind of what people call it anyway, but there's not really an official name to this, evil force. Then generations pass and we now meet the main character Stephanie, who keeps having dreams about the very opening scene that we just saw where everyone fell off the building and fucking died. Like I said, everyone survived that day, but Death didn't like that, and so Stephanie's been having dreams about the situation, and she's getting the idea that something bad's about to happen. She notices that her grandparents, one of them is named Iris, the same name as a girl who is in her dreams, so she decides to go and find her and figure out what the hell is going on. Eventually she's told and warned that death is coming for them all, and her family and her current bloodline is up next. Now we just have to go through this whole little adventure of ooh, how are they going to survive? What's going to happen? The story is definitely interesting. It's unique. It's a good spin on things. It's definitely one of those stories that I could tell they thought about for a good amount of time. It's not just, oh, a group of friends go on a roller coaster and they all die or something like that. There's actually a time skip. But as we know in every Final Destination movie, Death doesn't play around. You try to cheat him and he'll fuck with you. So it's good that they kept to that, original storyline. They didn't really change too much. The characters are just characters, and I'm gonna be honest, there really has never been a time where you can remember a Final Destination character. In fact, I would say out of all the Final Destination movies, I can't remember a single character, anything about them, their name, or their interest in life. Every character in Final Destination is just meant to be a fucking meat puppet, a fucking victim. You don't really care. And in a way, I'm kind of upset that they didn't really do anything with the story. And this is where I want to talk about where it's going to be really hard to criticize this movie, and I'm going to try to do my best and explain why I really would have liked some things to be different. Like I mentioned, every character is not going to be remembered in Final Destination. You're not going to remember their name or anything about them. You're just going to remember as, oh, that's the person that fell off that roller coaster. Oh, that's that guy that got cut in half by that saw. Or, oh, that's the guy that got hit, by the fucking big sign. That is quite literally the only way you are going to ever remember people. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's really hard to tell. To me, when I watch a movie, I'm at least hoping for something to be unique, original, special, and, there's something I can point out that I can remember and bring with me, when I talk to other people about this film. Like good old-fashioned Final Destination, it's the same. You're not gonna remember any characters, you're just gonna remember them as they fucking died. And I guess just to say this now, this entire review is gonna be basically spoiling the movie, and to be honest, there really isn't much to spoil. I pretty much said it already twice now, but if you picked up on it, and if you've seen any other Final Destination movie, there's a 99.99% chance you know how this film is going to end. Just saying. So yeah, so without even saying it, I'm just going to leave it to you. If you've seen any Final Destination movie, you know how this is going to end. And that also isn't a bad thing. They're keeping to the formula. They're not going to do anything crazy or set up something, different. I would have liked that, but that's just not what happened. Though I will say, as far as the story goes, they did do something unique with the whole, generation, time skip and all that. So yeah, back to what I'm talking about. The characters, you're not going to remember them. It's just, there's no point of even bringing up their names. All I remember is Stephanie. I'm not going to spoil the deaths because that would just ruin the whole movie, so there's that. The plot, I will say, kind of was interesting at the beginning, but dragged on and definitely became a snooze fest towards the end of the film, and that's another thing I want to talk about. This movie was just very predictable as it kept going, and I have to say this again, it's not really a bad thing, but also not really a good thing. For me, I just kind of knew how certain deaths were going to happen. There was a moment where everyone realized who the next person to die was going to be, and the brother and his family guaranteed that because of his actions, and if it wasn't for his obvious actions, this all probably wouldn't have happened. There was even a time where somebody was like, I'm going to live through this, and literally seconds later they die. So yeah, very predictable with a lot of shit in this movie. Nothing was also very surprising, you think, oh, this thing's going to do this, but it turns out that it was just a very simple, oh, that just crushed this person. Oh, okay, cool. I didn't really think there was any unique deaths or anything to remember. At the very least, Final Destination should have unique and wacky deaths in it. There's gonna be a few that I remember from the old movies, and I don't think, the magic of this franchise is worn out. There's definitely a lot of crazy things you could do in this universe. It's even funny, they even reference some of these things because the main character has this book from her grandma because she goes and visits her, and she talks about how, this book has thousands of ways for someone to die in this place or in this place. But the movie doesn't really even do that. Stephanie barely even reads the book that she was given. So it's almost as if this movie forgot about that whole part of the film. So yeah, this movie just kind of forgot about a lot of stuff half the time. Hello, this is James from the future. After recording, I think I should clarify some things. Final Destination was always on the nose when it came to its death. You always kind of knew when something was going to happen. And with this film, they still stayed to that formula. So for example, in the film, if you ever see a small scene where a truck is, running down the road and it's going really fast, you can probably assume it's going to have something to do with the upcoming death. And again, with this movie, they somewhat did that same thing. So I'm actually going to counteract what I just said. It's really just hard to know, did this movie do a good job with its deaths or not? Yeah, they were predictable, and they pretty much did the same thing they always did. And for the life of me, I just don't know if that's a good or bad thing. But yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it. Like I said, the deaths were predictable, and it kind of always is supposed to be predictable. And yeah, with these deaths, the way they happened was very different but also the same. For example, the speeding truck down the road, yeah, that's involved with the death, but that's just the thing, it's involved. There's something more to it that happens, so it's very just hard to talk about these things. So yeah, I really wish they would have done something a bit more oh, that came out of nowhere. That's basically what I was hoping for with this film. Also, this film is clearly self-aware of itself. I can't tell you the amount of times I was breaking out laughing during this film, and if anything, that's kind of a good thing. And I don't know if that's what the movie was trying to do, but yeah, this movie was just really, really funny. I don't know if it's because they were trying to be bad actors or everyone was trying to be basically fourth wall breaking. But yeah, a very funny movie. When it comes to camera work and camera shots, there was really only good moments during the first 20 minutes of the film. There was a lot of cool, interesting camera shots, but the movie didn't really do anything else interesting with that. Again, it's almost as if it forgot it could have fun with things. In the beginning of the film, there was this child who had a penny and was throwing it around off the building, and that penny led to a lot of deaths. And the penny being thrown and going through all these vents and everything was very cool, and I really wish the movie did something like that when it came to the other deaths, but it really didn't. Nothing really interesting with music. And yeah, Tony Todd was in this film, and this was most likely his final performance, and he pretty much did a great job, even though even though he was in the film for like 2 minutes. That 2-minute scene was very good, and a lot of people could definitely learn from it. He gave this whole message about living life to the fullest. I know a lot of other films did the same type of messaging, but something about him doing it was very special. So yeah, rest in peace. Honestly, there's not really much else to talk about. I already mentioned that if you've seen any other Final Destination movie, you know how this is going to end, so this is not going to do anything special or unique, and that's kind of a negative, but again, some people may find that as a good thing because they just want the same thing over and over again, just with a different coat of paint. But yeah, that's the film. I really have nothing left to talk about, honestly. I think if you like Final Destination, you will definitely like this film. It's gonna be right up your alley. For me, I probably wouldn't really watch it again. These movies, there's just so much to say about them and yet so little. If you like this, then yeah, go watch it. I am going to give this a very generous 4 out of 10. I know that's really low, that's below mid, but really, this movie didn't do anything that special. And for me to give it anything higher would kind of be disrespectful. Again, it's still a decent movie. I think people should watch it if you like Final Destination. And I think there are some cool moments at the beginning and with Tony Todd, but that's really all I can say about this film. Respectfully, this is the most respectful 4 out of 10 I can give to a film. And it's not a bad thing. I still recommend people go watch it if you like these type of movies. To put in a comparison, if the next Fast and the Furious movie came out and it was just dog shit, but it was still fun and crazy and wacky, I would still tell people to go watch it, and I would still probably give it a low score. So think about it like that, you know. So yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know down below, leave a comment, and yeah, go to my channel to watch other reviews from other movies that came out this year, and let me know if you want me to review anything specifically. I'll try and go watch it. I feel like I might as well do this. My next few movies I'm going to watch is Lilo and Stitch and the new Mission Impossible. I plan on watching those next here sometime soon. So yeah, look out for those reviews. And yeah, everyone, you have a nice one.